Hey everybody, Christian from Treasure Town here, and I just purchased this group of ancient coins for $300 from Kentucky Coins. I saw it on Instagram, he had offered them, and I said, I'll take a stab at it. Let's see, we'll add some cool coins, all of them identified to my ancient coin collection, and I'll be excited. These are mostly, I think, from the 200s and 300s AD, so 3rd and 4th century, a little bit later in the Roman Empire, actually as the Roman Empire is going to be weakening. So I'm going to cut these open, and we'll take a look coin by coin. And we remove the outer layer of packaging, cut this open, and it looks like there's even a third layer underneath, but I'm excited. And again, I think I've mentioned this, but I've basically like caught the ancient coin collecting bug just because I feel like there's some charm to the idea that these are just like coins. Grading is definitely becoming a thing, but is not as critical, but also just like the history that's represented on these is sort of just a whole nother level. If that makes sense. And wow, I mean, the first coin, like, look, it's just a cool, really cool thing to behold. And it's a sort of, I don't know, it's a sort of thing where it's just not something that exists to a huge extent in the US, whether it's the age or the history. But I also feel like, there's relatively clear lettering on a lot of these coins, where there's still a lot of the history attached. So let me try to cut away some of this tape, and we'll start going down the list in terms of the coins. The thing that I see immediately is that looks like we've got an Antoninianus, which I knew because of the identification spreadsheet, but you can tell that, and there are some that have these crowns like that are not Antoniniani, but this would have been it looks like a bronze coin, and there were bronze Antoniniani. I don't want to get my ancient coin history like really wrong and bad, but from my understanding, the denomination was effectively supposed to be 2 times the denarius, but in practicality, they didn't put that much silver, and then quickly had a lot of inflation where they were no longer putting any silver in, and that rapid spiral of inflation really hurt the Roman Empire in the long term. So it looks like we've just got to get this tape off. Probably should have done this differently, but I also wanted to have you see it at the same time that I see it and have that be the first time. So I think that these are worn enough where I feel comfortable handling them outside of the the plastic. And so here, you see an interesting portrait of 2 people conversing. It looks like a cross in the background, which is surprising. It might be some other type of emblem, but there we do see Valerian. This would have been a 253 to 260 AD coin. And it's cool that we have such a specific date and a decent state of preservation again on something like this. That's about 1,800 years old. So this was factored in for $10, and I feel like at $10, that's just such a interesting coin, and probably worth it when you think about, okay, maybe either I can keep that coin or somebody can add it to their collection for really a very reasonable price. This one is one of the most expensive. I paid $30 for this coin, and there we see Emperor, probably Claudius, or it says Probus actually. I believe, and also an Antoninianus. We can tell there from the crown. Oh, there it says Probus, Og, which is like augur or the ruler. And on the reverse, we see, I'm not sure exactly what that means, but that XXI, wouldn't be surprised if it's like probably doesn't refer to the 21st year of reign, but something about being an emperor as well. And this one's in a nicer state of preservation. It's not a mint state coin, I don't believe, but, Kizikis mint. Let's see if, that was notated by the seller. I'm not sure that I can immediately know. Maybe it's because of the S, or maybe something to do with the XXI, but really nice start and these coins have good eye appeal to them. Like, you can definitely, it feels like that they're cool pieces of history. As opposed to like some of the Byzantine coins that I have, it's not that they aren't cool pieces of history, but they have a ton of wear and damage. These are worn, but it's sort of a different type of wear. I don't know if that really makes sense. I believe this one is going to be a Numis coin, and is also relatively worn, but it says Constantius. Let's see. ISPPA, somebody AUG, maybe it's Constantius, but don't think that this one was ID'd, and just neat pieces. And I also wonder sort of if the bronze is like, you know, that sandblasted look. I know sometimes that gets added to coins after, but I don't know, it's still, in this case, it sort of makes the coins pop, and their appeal is certainly slightly higher, just from being able to see the detail really well. Over here we've got another fractional Diocletian, minted at Cyzicus. That I could see that being the mark that would identify them well. And this is a very thin coin, if you can tell. Over here, you know, those coins are not quite as thin, but this is relatively thin, but it does feel solid, and you still see a nice portrait. You know, you can clearly read the Diocletian Emperor. I don't again know what the CCV all that sort of stuff means, but then it looks like we've got augur at the back, and you know, again, really cool history. It says the next coin that we're going to be looking at will also be some sort of a fractional, and I think the thin planchet would confirm that. But this one, I mean, maybe it feels a little bit thicker. And both of these coins, by the way, are I paid $25 for, so more on the higher end. Just in terms of being pretty valuable, both from $2.95 to $2.99. And I'm not exactly sure what the fractional means as a denomination. And I don't know if these would have been silvered. That was a common practice for some of the mints back then. They would put a bunch of, like, the coins would be 1% silver, just like a tiny painting or coating of silver, so that they could try to pass them coming right out of the mint, but it was often sort of not accepted. Here's an Aurelian Antoninianus from 270 to 275, I believe. You know, firmly, you know, not a silver coin, even though the denomination technically should be. But we see that radiate crown, and you know, a very clear Aurelianus AUG, or is that HIC? I'm not sure. And that's where I wish I had. You know, the other thing is, like, buying this sort of stuff. After the video's over, I'm going to have to go back and learn a ton about them, so that I can put them in my collection, or if I do choose to sell them, like, provide people with good context from a historical viewpoint. And this one is going to be another Antoninianus. It says right there again, Probus, augur, similar situation, and you know, all just decent shape coins. Below it, it looks like we have a Constantius. This is minted in Antioch in the 4th century, 337 to 361. And wow, that portrait on the reverse looks like maybe either a hunter or somebody fighting in battle. You know, definitely a more worn coin, but I think also decent detail. And I don't know exactly what the Maorian is, but it's the only one of that kind. Like, I think later on we're going to be opening up some AE2, AE3. That's just like a size classification thing. Whereas on a lot of the, you know, generally we don't really understand how the numismatic system worked once the rampant inflation kicked in. And sort of struggled to keep track of it from a historical perspective. Here we have another Antioch mint, Antoninianus Constantius Constantius the First, with the, you know, man standing always, you know, has a solid affect, and you know, really reminds people. I feel like it's like a clear marker that this is old Roman coinage. I'm just sort of like admiring the designs, even, and the intricacy. Something like the beard. You know, these are really cool, and there you can see the ANT, ant. So maybe that XXI was some reference to Cyzicus. But, and I should know Concordia. That's like such a, you know, motif or a word that's used very frequently on many of the coins. But yeah, that's another fractional AE. And then now it's time to get into our last batch here, which is, you know, just an interesting group again. Like, I've definitely enjoyed buying some of these that are well identified, because it'll help me. I actually bought another lot for $500 of just many bulk, slightly lower grade but from a similar time period coins at an auction recently. And so as I unbox that, it'll be helpful to have all of that perspective in understanding what I got my hands on, and just having some practical examples of like, okay, I own these coins. What do they mean here? This should be, it's considered a fractional despite having the radiate bust, so I'm not sure exactly what that means. Maybe it's just an acknowledgement that at this point there's like no silver left in these. But, you know, still very thin, but feels like a solid planchet. And let's see what this coin is. Should be a fractional with Maximanus, and we see Maximanus augur. And when was he reigning? 286 to 305. So I think that's the other thing. Like, there would be multiple rulers during these time periods. I should know more. Again, with the historical, like, I'm not at my, this is not my strong suit, but I also think it's like important as a creator. It's like, I feel like I can talk at length about US coins and a lot of the modern stuff. This is like, I think it's really cool to sort of push your boundaries or just look at new things when you're buying coins. This is a Licinius Nummus minted at Alexandria, ALE, within numismatics, and like, don't just stay collecting everything that you've always, collected or known about. Like, start buying or collecting or researching new things just so that you can broaden your scope and understanding of the world. Like, the past 3 or 4 months, I feel like my understanding of history, like what was going on during these time periods, has vastly expanded. Now this one is going to be 14, and I have like that spreadsheet up. This is a AE2. So this is like it was minted for Theodosius, who I once did a paper. He had to pay tons of gold solidus coins that would end up in Scandinavia, and showed that it's unclear if it was fur trade or like ransom or like tribute payment, but that would end up in like modern day Sweden. And this would have been like the smaller AE2 fractional, use and small change coins of that time. And so it's just interesting that, we're seeing a Theodosius coin again, 379 to 395 AD. And we've only got a few to go. But all of these, I mean, the AE3 and AE4 then are going to be much smaller coins when those come in. But they'll still be big enough where you can really, you can collect them, and you can also be very aware of like what the, what's really on these coins. Like here, this one is another Licinius, Nummus, and Numi, like I think 40 Numi would be a phallus in the Byzantine Empire, but I don't think that there was as defined of a standard that I'm aware of. Or I think there probably is, but I just don't know it off the top of my head, like how many of these would be in something like a solidus coin. But yeah, Licinius coin a bit more worn, I would say, but still, remarkable detail for something as old as it is. Right here we've got another, probably Antioch, I should confirm. And this one doesn't actually have a, cataloged with a specific mint, but it's Maximinus the second from 310 to 313. And there's some part of me that's like, should I post this video? But again, it's like, I don't want to profess to be like, okay, that was Licinius, totally wrong. This one is nope, no, okay, I was like, yeah, I was very wrong. It was Maximinus. This is a Theodosius coin again, from a Nicomedia mint. Let's see if that's very apparent on the back. I can't immediately see it. I don't know exactly how that would have been identified, but you can see sort of the military portraiture. There's an arrow, and it's at a time when there would have been a lot of warring and a lot of unrest and weakening of the Roman Empire, which makes sense, just given what they're putting on their coins. Then this one reminds me more of like and it is an Antoninianus, because I have a bunch of silver Antoniniani that are much more expensive than this thing, which I bought for like, I think 12 or 13, and would think it could sell for a few bucks more, but it's a Claudius, Gothicus, and in worn shape, but again, like very good detail. You could, if you own this coin, you can clearly see it's like Imp Claudius Aug, like it, and there's no, I like how the lettering is also the same. I find that very challenging with, like, I don't know, there's some Cilician Armenian coins where it's the same lettering, but I just really have a difficult time, like, doing all the identification myself. This Probus Antonianus is, again, appears worn, but I feel like there's just such decent detail separation between things in the planchet and clear lettering. Probus, Aug, Emperor, and, on this side we've got, again, somebody who looks like they're extending in some type of an olive branch, and the XXI, again, I really have to figure out what that means. But I don't want to tell you something that I really don't know or have no grounding for. Here's a Maorian coin, and it closes out, again, with somebody, this looks more like a battle scene. I think there was a similar one that we saw earlier from Kyzikis, with a nice portrait of Constantius II. And this one I paid $20 for. That's how this was factored in. So I'm probably going to keep like $50 to $100 of this, sell some of the rest in upcoming maybe whatnot auctions, that sort of thing. But really, really interesting coins, and just the historical, there's just so much learning that I'm going to do as I look up each of these emperors and that sort of thing in the future. So thank you for watching, and I'll look forward to seeing you on some of my future videos. And hopefully I'll know a little bit more about these types of coins the next time I do a video on them, but maybe get a guest who will tell me a lot about them as we look at them, but we'll have to figure all that out. And for the time being, I'll see you soon, and look forward to learning more about this series along with you all. Thanks for watching the video. Be sure to like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to Treasure Town, and get in touch with me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Also, check out my website, treasuretowncoins.com, for news and updates related to the channel and collectibles in general. Lastly, there's a link tree in the description with links to all of my other sites, as well as some affiliate links that can support the channel. But with that being said, have a great day, and I'll hope to see you on some of my videos in the future.